Let's have a quick commentary on the shilling at this level, sitting very close to its all-time record lows. Why do you see the shilling continuing to be under pressure despite that shock central bank rate hike last week?
For me, I feel that central bank action was a bit too late, a bit too much, too late. So again, as we go forward end month, we are going to see increased demand from the importers for the dollar. So, and then again, as we wait for the Prime Minister's committee, we expect it to see to hover around those levels of 102, 103. But increasingly, we are seeing a situation whereby the 100 shilling mark has become the psychological point. So once a long term, I expect it to stay in the short to medium term. Expected to stay above the 100 psychological mark.
Let's move our attention to the equity market, and one stock that your portfolio is heavily biased towards, Seven Hill Solutions that is Kenya Power, with around 60 million shares that you're holding in that stock. Now, they're yet to release their full year results, but on a short term, many expecting results to be negatively impacted by the drought and as a result, the expensive nature of electricity this year. What are you expecting in terms of a top line and bottom line growth for the full year?
Top line, I expect growth, but then again, in the midline, expect the operating expenses to be held up by their gross profit will basically be lower. Remember, we've had a drought, we've had a weak shilling. Even though revenue grows, I expect expenses to grow at a much higher rate than maybe even the revenues. For me, it's a bit dicey right now. I'm holding my breath.
From a longer term perspective though, electricity penetration in Kenya remains low, with only 20% of the population having access to electricity. Electricity demand is expected to grow by 7% annually. How is Kenya Power positioning itself to increase capacity?
Kenya Power, it's investing. The Kenya Power and Lighting will use the proceeds from the rights issue to better their systems, to really improve on the systems and make them more efficient. Again, we've seen Ketraco getting some money to buy power lines. That should improve supply and make it much better. We've seen movement towards geothermal energy. A combination of those factors will make KPLC be a counter to watch in the coming days. Because of all that, we expect revenue to improve. And if revenue improves, of course, there's an effect on the bottom line.
Now, we have a dividend payout ratio of 17% for the past full year, 2010 that was, dividend of 36 cents. But going forward, what type of dividends can shareholders expect given the capital intensive nature of the business?
Again, KPLC is government owned, so the government will expect some revenue from that. I will also expect some revenue from that, so I expect the dividend to either increase or to be maintained at those levels. You see, a stable dividend policy will compensate us for the capital loss that we've suffered in the last few.
Yeah, we have had that stock trading below the price where rights were issued at the beginning of the year, sitting now at 16 shillings 95 cents, easing back yesterday below that 17 shilling mark. Would you say this is a good entry point given the fact that you're bullish on the medium to long term prospects for the company?
At 16 shillings, my valuation tells me it's a strong buy. Oh yes, at 16 shillings, I would buy. And maybe, yeah, at 16 shillings, it's a strong buy.
Let's just turn our attention to CMC Holdings. Of course, that counter is still suspended, but just looking at the market share for the company growing to 20% from 14%. Going forward, what is your outlook for the company? They've, of course, got all the issues at board level around fraud allegations, but from a fundamental perspective, where do you expect car demand to go for the rest of 2011 and into 2012?
Car demand will be affected by the country's top-down approach. Currently, we are having inflation. We are having double-digit inflation. The exchange rate has gotten out of control. I expect car demand to either fall down surprisingly or to be maintained at those levels. I am not seeing much of an increase because of those two factors.
Moving away from CMC and KPLC, are there any other stocks that you've got your eye on this week?
I'd probably be looking at banking stocks as I wait to see how they'll react to the increase in interest rates.
They have all been easing back quite significantly. I mean, is it just the pressure that investors are seeing on their profit margin going forward as a result of the hike in the CBR?
The hike in CBR, 1, 2, remember the whole market is also bearish. And then again, it's become increasingly difficult to forecast what's going to happen tomorrow. However, my opinion is that as the interest rates go up, when we start seeing a situation whereby interest rates are coming down, banks are going to be a bit sticky, interest rates are going to be a bit sticky coming down. So I believe at that point there'll be a bit of an opportunity.